Welcome, everybody. This is What's Up for You, and it's April 8th, 2025. So I'm glad to see everybody here. Glad to see these different opportunities growing too. So I really appreciate you guys showing up, and we'll see where we're going to go today. Before we get into the questions, I just want to check in and see if there's anything that I want to just share with you in general, and then we'll get going. I know we've got a lot of questions today, so we might go over by about 10 minutes. So if you need to drop off at any time, by all means, go ahead, but we'll see if we can't get everybody's questions answered today, or the ones that were sent in anyway. So give me just a second here. Yeah, so, I guess the theme is still very much the same in that we are going through some pretty powerful transformations. If you have come here with energetically sensitive kids, I promise you they're feeling this to one degree or another. The beautiful thing about right now is that we have this opportunity to really shift things deeply within ourselves, which absolutely cannot help but assist the kids in more further being here. And it's a pretty potent and it's a pretty powerful time right now. So if you're feeling that, mentally, emotionally, physically, nothing's wrong with you. It's like there's nothing bad happening. It's just you're literally purging that which no longer serves. And so the more we kind of stay nurturing of ourselves, loving towards ourselves, the more we are easy on ourselves during this time, honestly, the easier we flow through and really start to embody some of this energy. So that's great. The other thing I will say, just as maybe a funny and a side note, is to me today, I sound very slushy in my speech. I just had Invisalign put back on yesterday. And so I have in my own head, it sounds like I have a lisp, and it might not come across that way to you guys, but if I slow down a minute instead of speaking in my usual fast manner, then that's why. Yeah. All right. So where are we going, Sharon?
This first question is, what's your overall recommendation regarding facilitated communication? And what is your opinion of RMP and spell to communicate? Is there one better than the other? Thank you.
RPM. Yeah. Let's see. So first off, I am not trained in either one of those modalities. Obviously, I'm a huge proponent of any way in which the kids can communicate. I know that they're both amazing means of communication. And as far as I'm concerned, they should be used everywhere and anywhere. I'm not so much of a fan of hearing over and over again that these methodologies are not able to be used in schools or in clinics or these kinds of things. They absolutely should be. I'll also say that in my personal opinion, there is a huge telepathic component to these forms of communication, and that's not a bad thing. That's absolutely a good, great thing. I will say that I'm also, let me see how I want to say this. Since the telepathy tapes came out, I will say that I'm a little disheartened by some of the information that I received back regarding spell to communicate and not the methodology. The methodology is amazing. I'm a little disheartened when I speak to kids all day, every day, who are all about oneness, all about a unified field of consciousness. And when people come into the experience of telepathy from a place of fear, quite frankly. So I've just been hearing a lot about people being cut out of spell to communicate and those kinds of things because they were talking about the telepathic component. I know I've spoken about this for a really long time, and I know that that hasn't always been something that was welcomed. But now that the telepathy tapes is out and we have that kind of information out everywhere, um, the two do go hand in hand. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's really an opportunity for all of us to evolve beyond what our particular awarenesses were or are and insights. So facilitated communication, spell to communicate, anything that gets the voice of these kids out into the world, absolutely. We want that to be used, and we want it to be used with as much clarity as is possible. So, yeah. Does that answer your question, Sharon, or the question?
Yeah, there a difference between our RPM and spell to communicate?
There are differences in technique, but again, I'm not going to speak to that specifically because I'm not trained in either one of those. But what I will say is just overall, children will have a different, they'll have a tendency towards one or the other, and we don't have to make that right or wrong. I just think that the focus needs to be on the wisdom and the awareness, the consciousness, the new humanness of these kids really be made available in any way, shape, or form that it can be. So, yeah.
All right, this next question is, I am reaching out on behalf of my mom, Victoria, who is 60 years old. Over the past year or so, she has developed some health issue. Her doctor hasn't been able to pinpoint exactly what is going on. Any energetic insights or guidance you could offer would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for all that you do.
So thank you. And yes, the very first thing that shows up is, so we know that when something lands in the physical body, it's been mental and emotional first, right? The physicality of it is just that. It's that same energetic pattern that has moved into density, you might say. And what she shows me immediately is she shows me information in the cellular memory. So there's information in the cellular memory. And then that information is now trying to, with all of these light frequencies coming in, that information is trying to release itself from the cellular memory. And so it's almost like the cells look a little mucked up. They look a little bit under stress because this energy is trying to move out. I don't think that people are going to find, or doctors are going to find, a very specific diagnosis to this per se. But what I will say, something that will probably really help, is anything that's like cleaning out the lymphatic system, anything that's cleaning out the circulatory system. Because what's happening is this energy is just trying to move out and through her. It's maybe old sadnesses, old wounds, and maybe even sharing this with her. That awareness will come right to mind about what they might mean, and then go right into some kind of lymphatic clearing. You can find things like that on YouTube, and they're all over the place, but it's lymphatic clearing is pretty easy. Actually, you're just going down the neck, under the arms, across the belly, kind of in the creases at the hip girdle, in the growing area. You're just moving that energy. I think the more she moves it, the more this is going to move through, is what it looks like to me. Yeah.
All right. Since the last time we talked, Isabella has made major improvements. However, she still doesn't want to keep her clothes on at all the time at home. She knows and understands the difference because she will keep them on outside the home. I wish I could understand more about why she does this. It affects our home and social life. My son, who is now 15, is not allowed to have friends over, and we don't have guests over at all. She's getting older and it's getting harder. I just want to always be safe and protected. Are you able to see or feel anything about this? Thank you.
Her first question is, where am I allowed to be free? So the first question is like, where can I be free? Where can I just be me? And and I'm not suggesting that any of us have to strip down naked in order to be all that we are, right? Or to be ourselves. But that is the question that's coming from her. And I think that that's the question to all of us from her. It's like, where are we allowed to be free? And as we start, as you as a parent, start asking yourself that question too. Where am I allowed to be free? Where am I allowed to be completely myself, completely authentic, completely naked, stripped bare, if you will? It's like, where am I allowed to be that? Is there anywhere that we're allowed to be that? You mentioned that whole piece around safety. I mean, in the world that we live in right now, there's not a whole lot of places that most of us are allowed to be or feel that we can be completely authentic, except that's exactly what the question is. And so, again, we can say to her, it's like we don't have to strip down in order to be completely, to be completely authentic. But I would say to her, I think I got the message. I think I got the message of what you're asking me to do now, what you're asking me to look at, and I will. If you'll just say that to her and then start looking at that. Where are we allowed to be authentic? Where are we not allowed to be authentic? Why aren't we allowed to be authentic? Is it not safe to just say what wants to be said and really might need to be said? And what does that remind, you of or any of us of, quite frankly? So and the reason that's happening at home instead of out in the world is you can actually get it. You can actually, you're here asking those questions. People out in the world, that just bump into her, out in the world might not be ready to ask those questions, but she seems to think that you are. So, yeah.
Since shortly after my divorce was filed, visits were stopped with my children's father. My children have not wanted to talk to him. He has resisted evaluation and is instead targeting me. Currently, he is allowed to send letters to their therapist office, even though they have requested him not to send them. I'm wondering if you have any further insights into what my children need from me in regards to their father and in this divorce process. Thank you very much for any insights you can provide.
This is so interesting. This is an interesting topic to me. And over the years, I've heard the same thing over and over again. A lot of times we kind of go through this anxiety or stress or fear that our children want us to stay together. Our children want us to be that happy family or live happily ever after, those kinds of things. What's interesting about this is that people can only live happily ever after if they're happily ever after within themselves, right? And it takes two of those people to have that experience. So a lot of times when I've asked the kids over the years about this, they said they would rather have two separate happy parents, right, than two parents who are together who are not. Because again, if you're extremely energetically sensitive and the undercurrent of the household is something less than loving and compassionate, then they're picking that up all the time. And then they're just having to reflect that back. And they don't like that either. That's not very comfortable to have to do all the time. In answer to your question regarding the kids not wanting to see dad right now and those kinds of things, again, they're very clued into individuals who will do some deeper work within themselves. And we're not calling out dads versus moms or anything like that. But what I am going to say here is that let me say it two ways. If the children are kind of rejecting that energy, let's put it in the realm of energy, It's simply because that energy does not feel good. There doesn't feel like a way forward through that particular energy. And so they're taking care of themselves and they're backing up from that energy, right? The other side of this is that when we have when the children decide to stay with us, or you in this case, it's because there's an opportunity there to move into deeper layers and deeper levels of self. And that you might be one of those individuals that, again, will actually do that work instead of negate it. Because it's also not hard to be, I mean, it's also not easy to be the parent that's singly parenting the children either, right? So there's going to be all kinds of things that can come up for you as well, but that's a gift. That's the opportunity that you might say that you might be willing to take, and the kids recognize that. Where in this case, anyway, dad may not be ready to take that opportunity, and therefore the kids back up. Yeah. Is that helpful? I hope so.
All right. This may seem like a crazy question, but I am inspired to ask about the turkey that has shown up at our home. We live in a suburb where this is highly unusual, but the turkey arrived a week ago and has been showing up every day to our front yard by our bird feeder. He is eating seeds. It feels like he is here for a greater purpose. It is drawing a lot of attention from passersby. Any thoughts on the message? Thank you.
I wish I knew what turkey energy was. Let's see here. Well, let me just tell you what I'm hearing, and then we can kind of go from there. So, on the one hand, it is, well, hold on a second. I'm going to go up a notch here because I want to get something clear. Dare quiera kore kore mandare yu sandare kyo kira mandare yu ekem ya dare yu tam. Akioko ka kemin jen jen joy sandare kyoko akam. This is might feel a little bit base level, but we can go into it a little bit deeper if you want to. However, this whole thing about drawing attention to being that this energy of drawing attention to, is that okay now in your life? Can it be okay to draw attention to yourself? Is it okay to draw attention to the experiences and the capacities and the awarenesses that take place? Is it, and I'll say it this way too, turkeys usually become food, at different times of the year for people. And so what's coming so strong is it's almost like, can you be fully seen? Can you allow yourself to be seen? And when that fear of literally becoming food, yeah, of literally being, I'm going to use this word, but take it very gently. This energy of being sacrificed, is like for somebody else's to eat, for somebody else's. And I'm not, whatever. I love Thanksgiving. It's like, I love that. It's like, I'm not talking about it from that vantage point, but just energetically, what I just keep hearing so beautifully is there is something that wants to be seen, can be seen, should be seen from you. And can that be allowed? And when the fear comes up, that something that might not go so well, can we just have some love, compassion, and understanding for that part of yourself, right? Because there's some part of you that just really can be seen now, I guess is the best way to say it.
All right. My name is Tony. I'm 62 years old. I am diagnosed with ADD, PTSD, and other diagnoses. I think that I think that all these things come from my traumatized dysfunctional background. I have been suggested to try some ADD medicine, have been hesitant to do so because I really would like to move on the natural way without factory chemistry in my body, but I have decided to try it out. I would like to hear if you have a comment on my situation. Is there a missing link? Do you have something that points out something that I can focus on, do, understand, integrate in order to take a new step in my progression in life? Thank you.
Yeah, so Tony, this is the thing I heard immediately is literally like I have to be something I don't want to be. I have to see things, experience things, know things that I don't want to see, hear, experience, or know. Yeah, and it's like it took place really early on when the nervous system wasn't wasn't meant to be developed yet. You were still developing that nervous system at that time. So the nervous system is showing up as, ADD, ADHD, whatever. You might say there's like a pattern of reverberation from don't want to see it, don't want to hear it, don't want to know it, and not even that you don't want to, that you shouldn't have to, at the time when your nervous system is still developing. And so the nervous system did what the nervous system does best. It tried to figure out a workaround around it. But it's almost like it's like there's a vibration in your nervous system, and that vibration in the nervous system comes all the way out as certain ways that you try to navigate your human experience, right? Anything that reminds you vibrationally of any of that is going to cause a trauma response, you might say. And then, you might speed up, you might get anxious, you might get overwhelmed, you might want to move through something really fast, or you might not be able to move through it at all. It's like all of those are those are the mechanisms that you used. Thank goodness that you used them from that earlier childhood experience. The medication actually in your field actually looks like it regulates, supports. And the only thing I'm going to add to that here is if you'll use this time when the medication is helping to regulate and support a little bit, if you'll use that time to go back to that little boy and the thing I'm hearing to say to him is he he did an amazing job given the circumstances. His nervous system has done an amazing job given the circumstances, and that you're really proud of him, that he really is. Yeah, these words like you're proud of him, he's done an amazing job. He never really had to be anything that anybody else wanted him to be. Yeah, I mean, it's like these kinds of nurturing, supportive conversations to him. And he's little, I mean, he's young. And so as you start speaking to him, start speaking to yourself like that, it has a tendency to start regulating your nervous system. And because he's been on high alert for probably 60 years. And I totally get that. We just want to go back to him. Yeah, nurture him, love him, support him, reparent him. Yeah, reparent him because you wouldn't put somebody so young in that same situation. I hope that's helpful. Yeah. Okay.
On October 25th of 2024, it was discovered that our ASD-diagnosed 11-year-old son, Cabal, had 3 brain tumors. They were designated benign, which was a relief, but since then I have been on an emotional roller coaster, like no other. Now my son is having all the tumor surgically removed on the 14th of this month, which will likely cause unpleasant side effects that could affect him for the rest of his life. My question is, does his energetic self have a message for me about this entire experience? A message either to me or about how he is feeling about it all? Thank you so much.
First, any parent going through that, lots of love to you, big hugs. I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot. And I think stopping for a minute and acknowledging just how challenging, any parent watching their kids go through anything is, yeah, it's a lot. So what's coming up to share is that we're not our neurology. We're not our thoughts. We're not our brains. We're not our mental musings. We're not, this is what just kind of keeps coming up in this conversation. It's that, and it's almost like, what if we could, challenging as these moments are, what if we could use this as an opportunity to acknowledge almost like the extrication or the transmutation of certain aspects of our neurological process, certain ways in which it's always been a certain way. We've always thought a certain way, and this looks like this is actually coming down like from the lineage. This isn't about just the immediate family. It's almost like if we could literally remove some of these more locked in patterns, more locked in places. This is kind of what seems like is taking place right now. And, that buck kind of stops with your beautiful child. Hold on a second. I'm also not completely convinced that there needs to be negative side effects to this surgery, especially if we start love, gratitude, appreciation. Wow, you're the one that has kind of coagulated these different experiences, expressions, and you're the one that is having them removed. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And as part of that, thank you, we're really setting a field here, and let's all do that together, that there are minimal repercussions for the gift that's being given through this surgery. Yeah, it's minimal repercussions for the gift that's being given to the lineage through this particular surgery. Yeah. 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 Good. It's good. Yeah. All right, my dear. Thank you, everybody. I could feel everybody's energy just move that right up and out. So that's amazing.
All right, my son's name is Mason, and he is 29 years old. He does not speak conventionally. He happens to have cerebral palsy, uses a wheelchair, and a PRC accent communication device. About 12 years ago, he had several respiratory illnesses in a row over the course of about a month and was sleeping sitting up, having breathing treatments up all night, and since then, he has had trouble sleeping alone. I really want to help him be able to sleep on his own and take pride in that independence. We have tried many different things, but he is insistent. Any thoughts are appreciated. Thank you so much.
He's insistent on, I was watching Mason for a second.
She just said let's see, we have tried many different things, but he is insistent. So whatever they've tried.
Okay. Sorry, Sharon, I'm gonna say it again, please, because I was like Mason, like just literally came in and I'm like watching what's going on for him. So I want to make sure I answer the question clearly too. Go ahead.
My son's name is Mason and he is 29 years old. He does not speak conventionally. He happens to have cerebral palsy, uses a wheelchair, and a PRC accent communication device. About 12 years ago, he had several respiratory illnesses in a row over the course of about a month and was sleeping sitting up, having breathing treatments. Up all night since then he has had trouble sleeping alone. I really want to help him be able to sleep on his own and take pride in that independence. And we have tried many different things, but he is insistent. Any thoughts are appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It's so there's, and I get it. I mean, there's what you would like for him, and there's what he feels like his body needs. Yeah. So, and I get it, it's like we want that sense of independence for him. And we also want that sense of independence for ourselves. Neither one of those, we need to have any judgment around whatsoever. But let's get that piece. It's like Mason's Mason's awareness of his body is really, that's what I kind of got lost in when I was checking in with him. I was like going, okay, you've got all this going on with your body and the respiratory stuff and the CP and the communication challenges, and you've got all this going on. And yet he's so aware of his body. I mean, he's so knows what it needs, knows what it wants, knows what works for it, wants to be of support to it. And so I think a little bit of the insistence of, I want to sit upright, or I want to, sleep in a room where other people are there, or whatever his requests are, you might say. In many ways, those requests are because he's so aware of his body. It's like, I know what I need. I know the way it feels best for me to breathe. I know that, yes, I am awake all night, which we're going to get a little piece of this. There's a little bit of fear from way back then that if he's not in that particular position, there's a little bit of anxiety or fear that he won't be here in the morning, right? And you can imagine if you've got all that going on, no way to communicate, the respiratory stuff going on, the CP. It's almost like I'm putting myself in that position, and I'm going to stay in that position because that's what I can rely on. That's what I can count on. My body knows that placement, that position. It knows how to breathe. It knows how to be in that position. And some of that is coming from a little bit of fear, and we can understand that. So let's clear the fear piece first. Let's just move this fear out of the way. We want him to be completely aware of what works for his body. We don't want that to go anywhere. We just want the fear that he won't exist in a body if it's not under these right circumstances. We want that piece to be moved. So we're asking that to clear from the field. Yeah, see, it's that energy is way down. It's like right underneath the heart, right, behind the heart, in the lungs. Sadness, definitely fear. Or let's clear that from the heart. Clear that from the heart. He wants, okay, clear from the heart, please. Okay. Is there any addition to that question? He wants it to stay right there unless there's something that wants to be added. One other thing I will say is I would say to him, you know exactly what you need. I completely understand that fear would be there. You can do whatever your body needs and be in whatever position your body needs, until the cows come home. It's like what we're moving, you can say that to him from this place of having moved out some of that fear energy. Yep. And we all have it just hearing the conversation, right? We can feel that ourselves. So, um, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah.
It just says that he has almost a panic attack and he wants his mom to sleep with him
Yeah.
and then he puts his head to hers. So
Yeah, he does. Well, then let me say it like this. He he wants to stay. Yeah. He with all the challenges, with all he wants to stay, and he wants to stay for you. He's really clear about that. And so he's trying to organize himself so that these kinds of in his body, he's trying to organize himself so these things so that he can feel comfortable in the body. And we also are inviting him in this scenario to not have to live in any kind of fear around that, right? Not fear for you and your responses and or fear for himself, right? It's like, so that's why we're clearing. It's interesting, there's fear in the throat too. And so as we clear that for all of us, as we clear that in his field as well, right? We're opening up something and we don't know what that something is, but we'll see what that looks like. Yep. It's just opening the throat, opening the heart, opening the lungs. Yep. Yeah, opening all the way down. Yeah, opening down into the solar plexus. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. Mhm.
okay. I just recently found your work and it's really helped me understand what I've been experiencing. So thank you. I am very energetically sensitive and I worked for years on healing childhood multidimensional trauma and its effect on me. Even with all this work, I feel stuck somehow and wonder if there's is something energetically causing this. Also, my 36-year-old son Michael is very sensitive as well, and he has struggled for over half his life with serious addiction. He is now in recovery, and I want to know best way to support him. Thank you.
Sometimes when we're stuck, or sometimes when that stuckness, you might say, is a real benefit. Sometimes, especially if we've had earlier trauma, I know this one firsthand, we want to get to the next step. We want to get to the next step. We want to get past it. Just let me past it. Let me past it. The problem with just getting past it is that we never really have an opportunity to sit in it, to love it, to be of support to that part of ourselves. And so I can tell you in my own life too that, I'm do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing, make it happen, keep going. And roadblock after roadblock. And then you're kind of like, now I'm pushing through it, now I'm trying to make it happen. And all the stuckness is saying is, can I be okay feeling stuck? Because let's think about this as far as, like, let's say a child is going through something and that child is uncomfortable in whatever that experience is. All that child wants to do is get out of that experience, right? But you might say all the trauma patterning is the stuckness comes up over and over again because it's kind of like saying to us, well, what if we go back and what if we allow ourselves to just feel stuck? What if we talk ourselves through that? What if at whatever time and whatever that was happening, there was nobody there to talk you through it. There was nobody there to support you through it. But if you keep getting that energy of being stuck, and then we just kind of go, okay, let's be stuck. Let's be stuck. It's just the difference is this time I'm going to talk to these different parts of myself. Whatever this is that's going on, it's really challenging. Man, this is overwhelming. Look at how the adults around us, are handling this or not handling this. Look at the lack of capacity. Look at their own wounding. Look at what this is bringing up. What do we notice? Oh, my shoulder hurts all of a sudden because I'm in stuck, or my stomach gets a little nauseous. My heart contracts. So let's use that stuck to not try to get past it, but just to go right back into it. Yeah. And you're not going back into it alone. You're going back into it from the vantage point of being able to parent that part of yourself that didn't have the right support, at the time you were going through it. So, and I don't know how well I do know, but this has a huge impact on your son as well, because he's just clapping. It's like he can also feel that way too, where I'm stuck. There are things I want to do in my life. There are things that I want to do in the world, but I'm stuck by these different dynamics and scenarios, right? And and there can be that tendency also in his world to kind of go, okay, how do I just push beyond this? How do I push through this? And sometimes it can look like that in his physical world. There can be a little bit of a pushing through, a bull in a china closet kind of thing. So, and that's all of it, is just information. But in all cases, this opportunity to kind of go and what would it feel like to just sit in stuck, right? There might be a little panic, there might be a little anxiety, there might be a little stress that comes out, but we're going to go sit in stuck specifically to feel those feelings. Specifically, this is going to move things. I'll tell you right now that I feel like I can see all the work that you've done here, but this particular piece, I really feel like when you just go and kind of go, okay, I'm sitting and stuck for the sake of information. How does my body feel when I sit and stuck? How do my emotions feel? What's coming up in my thought process? And then loving, nurturing, supporting. I'm going there because I know I can sit in it, because I know that that's a capacity. What you're showing me is like you sit there for a minute and then zip, like everything starts speeding up, is what it looks like to me. Yeah, like there's movement forward. It's almost like you do a catch up. Yeah. How do I the visuals of this are really so interesting. It's like you're backing up to move forward. You're backing up, you're sitting, you're being present with that. Okay, I've got all this information and I can love myself through it. And then all of a sudden you come out of that and it's almost like you see yourself 3 steps ahead of where you thought you actually were in the first place, is how it comes up. So, yeah. All right. Good. What else?
All right, this question is, my son has been doing the Melilo method therapy, and he was reacting negatively to the red light therapy. It was causing him to panic, get hot and itchy, so we had to stop. He had typed on his AAC device that he needed something before the red light therapy, but I missed what it said. He has also been sending visual messages of the brain and vagus nerve, and lately has been really having bad gut pain and digestive issues. Have you got any insights to what's happening energetically? Thank you.
Um, not trying to sell anybody anything, but it's just coming up so strongly. The there If you go on to our website and if you go at the bottom to the Sahu oils, there are two oils called, if you just go there, go to the Sahu oils, there's an oil called Unlock and there's an oil called Emotion. I think both of those could be good. I actually featured those in the last newsletter. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I look at that, when I look at what's going on, Dr. Melilo is amazing. And the methodology that he uses, I'm working with a client that's there right now. We've been also adjusting, you might say, back and forth with some of the things that are going on. So, but what I'm seeing is not so much the vagus nerve is one aspect of this, but what I'm seeing is the phrenic nerve. And those two oils are specifically to kind of unlock the patterning of the phrenic nerve. I wouldn't know anything about a phrenic nerve if my friend Steve hadn't shared and run this program in my own body to release that. But that's what's showing up. So, and I'll also bring this up to Dr. Melilo too, not specifically about you guys, but because we're looking at anytime the brain likes to know what the brain knows, right? The brain's job, you might say, especially the mental body, the mental body part of the brain of the neurology, its job is to keep us safe. And so if all of a sudden you start going in and you start changing those patterns, then the body, the physical, mental, and emotional body, all wired together through that neurology, is going to freak out. But certain things are going to work and certain things are not going to be as comfortable. So two things. One, as we can support both that vagus nerve and the phrenic nerve. You might say the phrenic nerve is the nerve that can hold a lot of that emotional trauma. And to me, if we can unlock some of that, if we can reprogram the emotional body around that phrenic nerve, then you might be getting that might move much more smoothly. And as far as those oils are concerned, if you're going to go down that route, the phrenic nerve basically runs like down, like off both shoulders, down through the front of the chest. So it runs like right along just barely inside the outer edges of our waist and that kind of thing. And then it kind of comes in towards the top of the navel. It goes back out and then it goes down the hip girdle down from there. So you can literally run that oil, just a couple drops on either side of the neck, down from the shoulder down. You can run it anywhere like that. And it's just going to give the phrenic nerve and thus the vagus nerve a little bit of information so that it's like, it's okay. We're just calming those systems down, you might say. The other thing that I did have a conversation with Dr. Melilo regarding the client that I have there right now is I really like the idea in any modality. If the modality is being offered to the child, we want that modality to be offered to the parent as well. Because the fact is that we pass on certain patterns, right? We pass on certain experiences. And Dr. Melilo was saying that a lot of people have children who are diagnosed on the spectrum have also had some kind of trauma responses in their lives as well, or he didn't say it quite that way. I don't want to misquote him. It's like one part of the brain that's my language. One part of the brain, the right hemisphere of the brain for children diagnosed on the spectrum, is really wide open. He was suggesting that sometimes for the parent, another part of the brain will be wide open. right? So if we're balancing those two, then we get a more coherent state where he's just working with that with the client that I have right now. This week they've been there for this is their second week. This week they're both receiving that treatment. So I can give you more information about how that aspect of it goes. But I've seen this in homeopathy, I've seen this in cranial sacral work, I've seen this in diet and supplements and things like that. When we offer to the parent what we also offer to the child, there's more coherence being built. There's a greater opportunity for support and for real significant change to be noticed. So, yeah. Yeah, the fields are so intertwined. Again, for a kid who knows oneness, our fields are so intertwined that if we can get that support from the lineage, you might say, from the parents, and that support is also being offered to the child, it works well. So yeah, very supportive.
All right, we are at the top of the hour. We have about 4 or 5 more to go. Should we just try and see if we can get through them
Yes.
as much as possible? Okay. But while we're here at the stop, let people know about the New World Portal and the integration series really quick. The links are in the chat to
Okay.
check them out.
So yeah, so the New World Portal some of you guys are already in the New World Portal. I get to see you guys double time, triple time sometimes during the week. New World Portal meets on Mondays and Thursdays. It's basically multidimensional energy work. It's basically the whole thing is really designed for, you might say, light body, physical body integration. And it doesn't matter whether you are a parent of a child diagnosed on the spectrum or you are just really looking to be all you came here to be. The New World Portal energy work every single Monday that supports the collective. It's driven by the collective. Thursdays, either inner aspect sessions where we're taking certain aspects of ourselves that maybe we don't utilize very often and we're drawing them close to support our integration, you might say, or our embodiment. And then 2 Thursdays a month, there's also a Q&A session where you can share what your experiences are. And the conversation there is just so amazing to me. I love that conversation. It's one of my favorite places to be. So, and that's just a recurring subscription. It's fairly nominal. So, and then the integration series, we have Sharon, give me the date.
May 7th is
May
when it.
7th. So the integration series is a 6-week series. That one is more designed for parents of kids who are showing up differently. And it really is the 6 things that over the years, you just kind of start seeing patterns. So these are the 6 things that I really feel like any parent or any professional, anybody who loves and wants to interact with these kids and truly support them. These are the 6 things that I think people really need to know about. And so we work energetically there as well, but that's a lot of great information. We get a lot of great feedback from the kids themselves, which is always the highest honor. So yeah, so that's coming up, and that you can actually register for that anytime between now and the end of the month, I think. So yeah, is that what?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's do this. We'll go as far as we can for the next 10 minutes. Is that okay?
That sounds great. Yeah, I'll try to be more brief.
All right, next question is, I am an OT in Australia. A few months ago, I was working with an almost 4-year-old boy, Nathan. We had fun play-based sessions. He was gaining more language and was always excited to see me. I did a few home visits and from that point, he would always cover his ears and be distressed when he saw me, no matter the environment I saw him in. It would take approximately 20 minutes for him to calm down, then he'd be more present. His family ceased services due to this pattern of stress. Can you shed any light on what happened and how I can address this with him or the family in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, so absolutely. So you had a clear environment when you were one-on-one with him, or when he was coming to see you, you were in charge of that environment. It was your field that was creating that environment. Energetically sensitive kids will do different things for different people in different environments. It's all vibrational. So probably would, the moment you stepped into the home, yeah, now your energy is, he's perceiving you as part of that environment, right? Right. He's just perceiving you as part of that environment. And if part of the reason he was coming to you in the first place was that maybe that environment was trying to do the best they could, but didn't understand, or maybe there was underlying information that just hadn't been able to be processed yet. It's no blame or shame to anybody. It's just that that environment was not conducive, literally, of that communication. The environment that you were inviting him to, separate from that, was, it's the best way I can say it, right? And this is also the reason why I used to watch this all the time when I was still a pediatric speech pathologist. OT, PT, speech. Kid come into the clinic, had one environment in the waiting room with the stress that goes on for any parent who has a child who's showing up differently. That particular environment would beget a particular response. And then that child would be ushered into the OT. And if the OT thought the kid was amazing and wonderful and was curious about him, then, that went pretty well. If then they'd go to the PT, and the PT was like, having a bad day. I'm mad at my husband. Something else is going on. This kid never does what I want him to do. That kid shows up differently, right? And so we really want to pay attention to, we hear this all the time. Everything is vibration. Most people, especially if you're stressed out by, the challenges of parenting and all that other stuff, we don't think about things as vibration. So we don't really think about changing that vibration. But for energetically sensitive kids, changing our vibration changes everything, right? Changes everything. So I think that's what happened. I think that, yeah. And as much as it can be convenient for the parent to have you come to their environment, I would just check in with the child. I would check in with yourself. How does it actually feel in your body to go into that environment? Because if it feels heavy to you, it's going to feel heavy to the child. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Read this last question and then last words, and then I'll just refund the remaining people.
Okay, that sounds good. Sorry. It's like I want it to be full enough that we really, yeah. So that'll be great.
Okay. Since last September, I have had some hearing loss in my left ear. There is no obvious reason why. The ENT specialist says it is unusual to have hearing loss in just one ear. I would appreciate any energetic insights in what you may have about this condition. Thank you.
Could we left or right?
Left.
Up here. Mhm. Okay. Well, the thing that shows up is, some other aspect of you is really trying to get your attention. Some other aspect of you has all kinds of awareness and information for you. And what I'll say is it's almost more like, it's not like there's a fear of what it would even say. I think not. Let me hold on a second. All I hear is this aspect of you saying there's a change that can be made. There's a change that can alter. And there's some aspects of you that are going, yeah, it's like maybe it's not like a fear, it's like more like a choice point is what it feels like to me. This one part that's kind of going, okay, I've got all this information from you. Another part of yourself going, I don't know if I want that kind of change, that level of change. It's like, again, that mental body that we talked about earlier that knows what it knows and likes what it knows, right? And then there's this other aspect of you, and it's like just sitting like right here. It's like very much in support of you. Nothing that you're going to hear from that aspect of yourself is negative or bad. I think the mind or the mental body might fear that it is or assume that it is, but that's not the case. It's just sitting there like, I'll wait, I'll wait, I'll wait. Definitely. I mean, this is kind of that old adage, what do we want to hear? What don't we want to hear? But in this particular case, what is available to be heard, I think is really empowering for you. I think it's really supportive of you. Um, and so, yeah, yeah, I would simply, my ears are ringing right now like crazy. So it's like, yeah, it's just trying to knock, knock, knock. It's knocking at the door and just wants to be heard. So I would just tap right into it. Yeah, yeah. All right, that's good.
All right, let's do last words.
Wow, I will tell you, like literally the tones in my ear right now, whatever's going on with that, I can tell you it's positive. I can tell you it's like another level of you or something like that is trying to come in. So that's what it is. Okay, so last words. I get so excited. It's a multi-sensory kind of experience going on here. Okay, so let's go into last words here. Everything's vibration. Everything's vibration. And if we start thinking about it that way, I know I talk about that a lot here, there, and everywhere, but there's something happening today in this particular session where it feels like that information can land in a way that might not have been able to land before. And so again, if everything is vibration, then what are we choosing vibrationally? A lot of people will say, well, I can't choose that because what's coming up in my head or what's coming up in my emotions or what's being felt in my body, that's just what is. Well, that's not exactly what is, that's what has been. That's the vibration that we've been playing at. And then it coagulates as thought, it coagulates as feeling, it coagulates as physicality or challenges in the physical. So if we can use that information and kind of say, okay, this is what's coming up, and I'm going to practice this other vibration. I'm going to choose, like if I'm always feeling kind of overwhelmed, that makes sense, right? We're having those experiences. But if we use that overwhelm to kind of go, okay, now I choose to put myself in the vibration of relax or calm, or if I use that as a pivot point, then I start building that vibrational field. And if you're building a vibrational field, you cannot help but get that reflection back to you, right? It has to happen. The outer landscape is a vibrational match to the inner landscape, right? And so let's use the challenges as a pivot point, as a choice point, but we're going to have to stop for a second and kind of go, okay, I wonder what joy would feel like in my body, or I wonder what relaxation. Yeah. Oh, okay. And sometimes right there, when we ask that question, we're going to cry. Something's going to come up. It's like, it's okay. Let that emotion pass. Let it be felt. And then, okay, now what are we choosing? Yeah. The moment we chose joy, whatever wasn't joy is going to move. So we're just getting into a bit of a rhythm. Yeah. Everything's vibration. That was the vibration of the past. This is what I'm choosing now. I'm going to hold that vibration for 60 seconds. We'll have plenty of opportunities because the challenges come up all the time. So we just, okay, there we go. We got it. We got it. Sitting in that for a little while. And then we just go on about our business until we start noticing that we're getting other experiences back. Okay. All right, you guys, lots of love, and sorry to those people that we didn't quite get to, but next time, and have a great week, great month. Bye.